I'm reading an op-ed here that you wrote where you clearly state that you think the wealthy should pay even more in taxes. What's less clear to me is how you feel about corporate taxes, which the stock market is so interested in. Do you think that the corporate tax rate should also be raised?
Raised, yeah, absolutely. So while the statutory rate is 35%, as everyone knows, the effective rate is far lower than that. Estimates are around 15%, and that's because it's so easy to drive your profits through the loopholes that run throughout the tax system. And the simple facts are that at the peak of American growth and productivity, effective tax rates on corporations were 45%. And if I could, let me prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that lowering corporate taxes will not benefit the broader economy. And that's to remind people that today, 55% of current corporate profits are used for stock buybacks, and 37% of corporate profits are used for dividends, which means that companies are currently using 92% of aggregate profits simply enriching the already rich. The idea that lowering taxes would somehow benefit the broader economy is it's just absurd. It's an absurd lie.
Nick, I think a lot of people would look back to say, look, let's talk about personal income taxes, because he also thinks those should go up. Under Jimmy Carter, the top tax rate was 70%. Under Ronald Reagan, it went down to 28%. Income tax revenues skyrocketed. That's evidence, isn't it?
Yeah. So here's the thing: is that if you actually look at the evidence over the last 45 years, you will find zero correlation between the top marginal tax rates and any dimension of growth. Not GDP growth, not real income growth, not median income growth.
Didn't I just give you some relative to Jimmy Carter versus Ronald Reagan?
You gave me one example, but you could, but when
it was a big one.
Yes, and when President
Clinton raised rates,
right?
Because we haven't had tax reform since then.
It's simply not true. If you look at the data, you will find examples of raising rates and having growth go up, and lowering rates when growth goes up, because the simple truth is that tax rates on rich people do not affect the broader economy. What affects the broader economy are investments in infrastructure and raising wages. I mean, look, all a market economy is people buying stuff and selling stuff. And the big challenge that we have in our economy today is that we've gone through 40 years of impoverishing
What should the top
middle
rate
class.
be? What should you be paying in taxes?
I would apply a 50% tax rate to all income above $1 million. If it was me.
I'm surprised you don't say 100, because if there's no correlation between higher taxes and growth, then I would tax you at 100%.
No, that's not logical. It's not that you don't need incentives in the economy. You need some incentives in the economy. But just because you lower rates on rich people doesn't benefit anyone else. It's just absurd. Look, the thing that our country is dying for are raising wages and more investments in infrastructure. And since all of the income in our country today is concentrated at the very top, that's where you have to tax. And so this idea, this trickle-down lie that if you cut taxes on rich
Nick,
people
other
and big
people want to get
corporations...
some questions in here, so hold on one second.
Sure.
John?
So, Nick, you talk about investing in infrastructure. I'm interested in your op-ed and what you say about education. That, to me, seems especially important given the inefficiencies we have in people beginning education and not being able to finish and wasting a lot of money. What should, if anything, should the tax system do to incentivize higher education, particularly among the working class?
Well, I mean, look, when I went to the University of Washington, it cost $250 a quarter. Today, it's $15,000 a year or something like that, and that is all a consequence. I mean, there is some inflation in costs, but most of it is a consequence of tax cuts for rich people defunding our public universities. Today, I believe that the number is $1.3 trillion in college debt that both serves as a massive disincentive for people to go get a degree, but more particularly, think about the negative repercussions of that debt has on demand from all the people who are paying back college loans rather than buying stuff in their communities. So we have to collectively find a way to make to make higher learning, whether it's a 4-year degree or a 2-year community college degree, much more affordable for people. And you're not going to do that unless you tax rich people and corporations to do it. Simply impossible.
All right, Nick, you're definitely a contrarian voice to a lot of the folks that we have on when it comes to this topic. Good to have you on, Nick Hanauer.
I know. You guys are the kings of trickle down.
See you later, Nick. Nice to have you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
When we come back, a lot more on the big tech movers of the day. Twitter's up 15%.